Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Frances Adamson, and I'm a yoga therapist and a creativity coach and intuitive spiritual counselor. So those are a few of my hats. They're invisible, but I've got them all on tonight. And we're going to do something different, something completely different. Most of the artists who have been showing you their stuff are, well, I think everybody's worked from a reference. And this is an idea that I had not to work from a reference at all. It's could be abstract, probably you'd call it abstract. But anyway, here I am, I'm going to spotlight my work. Okay, so I was really freaked out about this because I had this idea to do this workshop and I'd never done it before. This is like a first for me. And so, about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach them this stuff. I better start trying. So I messed around and I started working, and this is the one I worked on tonight. And at first I was really struggling because, I have this technique. I evolved this technique because my business is called Joy Core Connection. And I hired a website developer to do my website. And when she found out that I was an artist, she said, well, you have to make some paintings for your website. And she says, I want a picture of a Joy Core, because that's my business, Joy Core Connection. And I thought, oh, well, what does a Joy Core look like? And she says, well, I think it might be a cross between a sun and a flower. And I said, that sounds about right. So I didn't really have a concept. I had no idea what I was going to do. So I started just making blotches on a paper and then doodling on top. So, we could stop there tonight. Make some blotches. So I started work on this and I thought, oh my God. And I really struggled. But then at a certain point, I just started getting into it. And I guess I'd say I was trying to make it look a little bit prettier than it was. And I just got into, working with it. So that's what I did. I started with something like this. Where is it? I really wrecked the paper because I didn't use the right kind of paper. So I actually kind of wrecked the paper. But that's kind of how I start out, just making something like clouds. And just like when you look at clouds and you kind of ask yourself, well, oh, there's a cat in the sky, or there's a clown, or whatever it is, then you just start to bring out the images. Now, I wrecked the paper. It wasn't very good, and I soaked the paper a lot so that, the clouds would appear when I put color on it. And I just keep layering paint on so it gets darker and darker. This is something I did when I did Betty Gowan's workshop last year, her abstract workshop. So, just pouring paint on and scuffing it up and making a mess. So I'm sort of hoping you guys are willing to make a mess, because what we're doing isn't, so this was a real mess. But I could work with this, right? Like I could start bringing, ideas out. I could see what's going on here. Is there a shape here? Do I want to kind of bring it out? This was one of the Joy Core ones that I was working on. And you can see, I started to see, I don't know if you can see it, started to see spider webs. And then I don't know if this is like a flame or a petal or a cloud. And I just started, doing that. This was one of my favorite ones because I really started to see shapes. So you can see what all I did was take some of my favorite colors. I would have definitely wet this paper beforehand And then I just kind of, you know, kept bringing up splotches, you know, with darker colors, just getting it a little bit darker every time. And because I actually had a concept, I had this concept of the joy core, I started with that sunflower idea. But, you know, I saw these two yellow bits here were like a wing. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's sort of stars in places. There's a little constellation up here. And then, uh-oh, I froze it. Yeah, so here's another one that I could work on. I really loved it when Betty Gowan did her demo for us, because I thought, you know, if I don't do anything with this, you know, sort of base, I could always cut it up and make it into an abstract. I really like that idea. And here's where I think it's really important with this style that you have some pretty clear ideas of colors that you like. So this is just me, and they have to mix together well. So this was just me fooling around, layering different colors of yellow. I really like, you know, for joy core, this is part of the joy core work. I really like yellow and orange. So I wanted to make sure that the colors all blended together, because you're going to kind of mush them all together. That's just another example. I could fool around with this forever. I could just start outlining things, drawing. And actually, I started working, I thought I was going to work on paper tonight, but I'm going to work on this. Here's one. It's upside down. But you see, I kind of like the light colors and then draw with white on top of them. But you can do it either way. You can use dark colors and then, you know, I sort of drew out, maybe it's a dog. It was probably meant to be a horse, but it could be a dog. There's actually a few dogs. I don't know if you can see them. So the idea is you just kind of let go. And this is done kind of in stripes because banners for websites are very narrow. So I just wanted, you know, I was thinking maybe I would just take a picture, you know, or crop it and that. It's really just a matter of, you know, I saw some feathers here, but they might be leaves. Again, spider webs, I think spiders are really neat. And so that's the general idea. So I like to have a bit of color on. I hope this works out. If it doesn't, I'll have to switch to paper. But I've got basically two sizes of brushes. One big one and one little one. And I have about 1 million brushes, but that's all you really need. So I don't know how that's going to work out. It's not going to work out. It's too dark. Okay. Maybe I should have stuck to paper. Okay, I'll have to stick to paper. So I recommend a heavy bond of paper so that you can soak everything up. Some really heavy paper here. That way I can get it really, really wet. I should have prepped this beforehand. I really thought I was going to work on that gray thing. I thought it would work out, but the acrylics are too thin. So if you have some paper, what I'm going to do first is wet it. I have a better roll of tape for that. Just tape it down. Try to prevent it from wrinkling. It's a fool's errand for me because I do it so wet. You know what I'm thinking about as I was thinking about doing this workshop with you guys, like what's art all about? Like what do we even do it for? You know, do we do it so that we have a pretty result? You know, are we making something decorative? Are we expressing ourselves? Or are we just enjoying ourselves? And one of the things that I know as a creativity coach is that we get stopped by our perfectionism. You know, we get this idea that we want this, at least I do, and I think a lot of artists do, that there's this idea that we want to create something that looks good. And the premise of this workshop is to really throw that away. Any sense of it's going to look like a mess before it looks like anything good. So I'm first going to just put water on. And I'm not going to care if it's a mess, because I'm not really sure why I'm doing this. I mean, when I first started this technique, it came from that kind of Inuit idea where the artist would find a rock, you know, a bit of rock, and then they would really lumpy paint. This is really crappy paint. And they would see what was in the rock. They didn't decide to, you know, make a seal. They looked at the rock, and whatever the rock was, it sort of told them what it was, and then they brought the seal out of the rock. So you can't see that, but that's a really, oh, I'm going to use another size of brush too. I'm going to use a medium size one here. I really like a color called Alizarin Gold, but I don't have that, so I'm probably just going to mix in a little yellow with some yellow ochre. And I don't think it matters, you know, what colors you use. I love these sort of colors. So I'm just sort of laying in some color. And I don't really want to see too many lines, but you might want to think about the shape of it, right? You know, like when Betty did her workshop, she kind of, you know, there's no straight lines, nothing going off the page, you know, not at first anyway. You can do whatever you want. I already see a great big bird here. So I think that's might be what I'm going to do a big bird. So, yeah, so the idea isn't so much that I sit down with an idea. The idea is more that I just relax and paint. And I always like to work, I laid down a little bit of this light goldy color, and I'll put that into a light blue that I'm doing. I hope it's going to be a light blue. Looks kind of green when you put the yellow in it. And yeah, not really too concerned at this stage with anything other than making some blotches, sort of making a rock that I can carve, but I'm not carving and painting. So I'm making these blotches. Already I have an idea that maybe this is a big bird, but I don't know. That might be kind of boring. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to want to kind of doodle on top. And as I said before, you really want your colors to go together, because you're going to do a bit of mushing them all together. And I don't want to see too many lines at first. So it's really, I found, like, when I started this afternoon, I was so worried about, you know, oh my God, I haven't done this in years. And even then, I don't really remember what I was doing. I was just fooling around. I didn't care. And what color should I use now? It's a little bit of yellow here. So I have one bucket just with clean water, and one that I'm going to keep clean. for if I want to make things wet. So I don't really know. It's just a process of, you know, making some blotches and then blending them in a bit. And the idea is to just relax and wonder what you're even painting about. So I don't love that so much. I'm just gonna take a dry brush and maybe see what happens if I kind of move it around a bit. It's a little bit like the Betty Gowan technique. And I want different colors and different, you gotta be careful you don't get too muddy. Although actually if you get muddy, that's when you start panicking and it gets interesting. So what color? So I did pick out a palette. Oh, you know what? I was also inspired a bit with Diane Houston's grays. And I wondered, you know, I've been using a lot of really bright colors to do this. But I think it's very interesting. Maybe I'll just flat it. You know, just, I don't really care how it goes. And then I'm gonna kind of smear it. And I just don't know, like this afternoon, like I was saying, I keep starting to say that I was really nervous about doing this. And then I just started working on that piece. It didn't come out very good or anything, but it was very relaxing. And so I started to kind of wonder, you know, what is it about art? Why are we doing art? And can it just be for no reason other than, you know, to relax you or to, I love the contrast of the blues. It looks better in the light here. Oops, I don't want to use more of that. There's less contrast in real life than there is up here. And I'm starting to get some shapes coming out. So I probably want to go with some thicker paint on top now. So once again, I'm just going to kind of mix up blue. And see, I'm scared. What's going to happen when I put this blue on? I'm going to kind of outline this shape I see here. And I don't like to see the lines at first. So I'm going to kind of, paper towels are good. Does anybody have paper towels? You can kind of blot. So it's a lot. Oh, and then when you blot, when it's wet, you get a lot of texture. And that's kind of interesting. So at first it's a real mess. And you have to just kind of go with it. And there's kind of a shape here, down here. And so I'm squiggling. I'm still kind of feeling like I'm trying to bring out some organic kind of shapes. I just have a little round brush here. And then I'm gonna hopefully blend it a little bit so that it blurs a bit. But honestly, at this stage, it almost doesn't matter. A little bit of blotting. And I mixed together this gold that I have with some red. I'm going to see what color that is. Very, very pink, maybe too pink. So it's just about playing, really. It's not, you know, I might not even get a painting that I like. I might tear this up and make some kind of a, you know, where I put that brown, I think I might put some red splotches in the brown. Kind of blend it in a bit. Kind of making clouds on your page. And you can see why there's not a lot of technique to this. And, you know, it's very playful. I mean, you want to be like a child and saying, oh, what happens if I put this color in? You know, or what happens? It's very loose. What would happen if I just went over the blue with the red over here and start blending that in? You know, and I'm starting to get some shapes there. So, like Marissa, I don't care at all about mushing colors together. You know, and I'm gonna have the same brush. I think I want some more blue in this corner. It's kind of neat watching yourself on Zoom. You get a totally different perspective. But you know, it's just like, well, what would happen? What's going to happen when I do this or that? And I like to go in with white. At least I think I do. Doesn't really matter what you do. And then you can take other media, you know, in the end. Like, I think I could have done this. If I had a white canvas, I could have done this. And you could, probably some bits are dry enough that I could, you know, scrape some lines into it if I wanted. I don't know that I don't have any ideas yet. I'm not really too concerned. Obviously the bird is gone, the original bird that was there. Oh, this is like in Bonnie's workshop, where she scraped away at it at a certain point. So I still haven't decided what it's all about. It might not actually end up being about anything. It might just be a doodling thing. And I think it's good not to really care. Oh, I only got red over here. I think I better put some red in over there. Maybe some more red in over here. And I'm gonna have to blend that a little bit somehow, so it's not too. Now I've got like 4 corners with red. That's no good. Have to remedy that. I'll have to have some type of movement of the red. But yeah, so like if you're an artist and you know you're making these beautiful pictures where you know you're painting a flower and from a reference, this is a great tool to just free yourself up a little bit, you know, and not worry so much. I'll follow that line a bit. I don't know. I'm liking this red. Don't want to make it too uniform. I want to have some. So I got a dry brush here and I'm just, you know, brushing it in so there's no lines so I can. So I'm getting a clouds. That's my idea, is that I can kind of make a cloud, and then I think I need this to kind of go like that down and through here. And, you know, so you get the fun of working with, you know, the wet. If I was doing this on canvas or a board, you know, I'd probably use a lot of medium at first. Or I might even, you know, use gesso and use a lot of paint. So I think the key is that it's play. And I don't really have any ideas at this point. So now I'm going to put some white on over the white lines that I scraped out. See what, and they're very transparent. I said that I started to paint a joy core, and that is what kind of started this technique, but it actually started earlier than this because my parents are both artists, and my father remarried. My parents were divorced when I was pretty young. And when I was about, I think I might have been about 16 when he had a child with his wife, his second wife. And so I just made those lines. Maybe I better make some more lines through here. See, I've lost, I'm not going to be able to do too much more with the lines. Swirly lines are fine, whatever you want. And anyways, he wouldn't paint. This little kid was like, I don't know how old he was 4 or something, and he wouldn't paint. And you know, the reason was, I knew what the reason was, is that he saw his father painting, and he, you know, some children are perfectionists, you know, and he wouldn't paint because he was sure he wouldn't be able to do it. And so one night I was babysitting, and of course there was tons of art materials all around in that house. And I said, I'm gonna paint with you. And he said, I can't paint. I said, no. And we just did this. We just it was just, we made the paper wet and we blotched some colors in. And that was the start for him. He started to paint after that. He wasn't afraid anymore. So I thought it was kind of neat. It was just because, you know, I thought, well, who cares? He's 4 years old. What does he care whether he can make anything or not, right? So, and you know, right now I run a business. A lot of my creativity is really in my business, and it sort of seems boring sometimes, but it's the way it is for me. I think that's a very creative process for me. I like to do a lot of different things. And I haven't been painting. I haven't finished the one I started with Diane. I'd really like to. It's really fun doing that. And so for me right now, you know, to do this art is really more about, you know, just stirring up my creative juices, you know. And I have the luxury because I'm not, you know, selling it. Well, I have some paintings in a show, but that's not my career right now. I'm not an artist for a career or anything. So I kind of have the luxury to just do this as a process of relaxing and not really care too much what happens. So now I've got some lines, I might be able to start seeing some shapes. There's some darker lines where I was scratching, so I might just, I've got some blue. It's not a very fine brush. I have a really fine one that I like. I was actually thinking it would be really fun to get those pens. Has anybody been playing with those pens at all that look like little paintbrushes? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yep, they're great. Watercolor.
Yeah, you're using watercolor ones. There's acrylic ones too, aren't there?
It could be, I just use the watercolor.
Yeah, I have some watercolor pencils here. So I would say, yeah, you're definitely going to want to use those tonight. You're going to want.
There's a set of them there. But there's larger sets as well.
And it's like a little paintbrush?
Yep, it's fine on one end and thicker on the other end.
Nice. Yeah, all I have are the watercolor pencils, but that would do. I also have these art bars, which I might use tonight. So I don't care if I make mistakes too, you know. I'm painting on watercolor paper, but I'm using acrylics. Just a choice. So I'm wondering if I see anything here that I want to bring out. I'm not sure I will. Entirely not sure that I will. But yeah, this might be a nice time for the pencils. I have a nice red one here. So I like to kind of outline things a bit. That kind of sometimes, first they're all blurry and then I outline it. Yeah, I want to get those acrylic paint brushes. I wonder if this is going to be something here. Probably want to brush it out a bit. Yeah, so I mean, I really, you know, I kind of give up in terms of, is this going to be something? Is it not going to be something? At this stage, does it really matter? Little curly Q lines. It's like a doodle. Does anybody doodle when they're in meetings? I like what's happening up there. The blue is really dark. Maybe I'll try the art bars. These art bars are going on dry or wet. I like that I have a better selection of colors. So I'm going to wet one because I've got these lines up here. So sometimes I outline the blotches and then fill them in a bit. So these kind of look like crayon or not. And get the fingers going here. I don't really know. So yeah, I have the feeling I'm not going to see any shapes tonight. But they do, these art bars, you can paint them out. They don't have to stay like a crayon. So they're really useful for this because, you know, You're getting that sort of cloud effect. Oh, I don't want to. You can still mush them around. But I could draw like it with a crayon almost. And I'm just gonna. So, like I often see flowers when I do this process. Birds, lots of organic kind of forms. Birds and animals. I like horses a lot and dogs. My dad used to paint dogs a lot. He called them the inside animal. They were a metaphor for his primitive or his animalistic side. I think I should get some more of that red in there. It's neat doing it on Zoom. I can kind of look up and see what it might be doing. Try to find the outline of this blob. The outline of this blob here too. Yeah, so this, I haven't used my art bars much, so that's kind of fun. So at the very least, you're doing something like this, you get to try something you've never done before, like the art bar crayons, and see what they do. And then you kind of have a sense when you want to do something and when you have an idea what you want to do, you can then use them, and you've got a little bit of muscle memory for it. So, got some white here. Can really bring out some of the white lines. I've got these lines here. That's what's nice. I liked the Diane workshop too. That that idea of making sure you leave some white, like don't paint over it. So I don't know. Whoops, that's so much for this white crayon. There's nothing left of it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just follow the muse. And I find that very relaxing. Oh, I think I've got something here. So I guess it's kind of looking interesting. Yellow. Hmm. And I keep going darker too. I'll keep kind of, unless I don't like it. Kind of don't like that. Yeah. Kind of like the way they glow when they're really thin. Already I've started to mess up my water.
You still?
I'm working. The Zoom thing, right? You never know when your family's gonna come in. There. And I find you have to be a bit careful not to mess up the colors too much. You know, I don't have any green going on in this one, but you have to be careful that you don't, once you made the clouds, you're kind of stuck with that. You can't really, I can't change that much. Unless I was in acrylics, I suppose I could do that if I was in acrylics. I could change it by just whiting it out. I did say I was going to do some of that gray, but I didn't get gray. Because, you know, it tends to look a little psychedelic. You know, if it's just all bright colors and that. I like I say, I don't really care, right? It's not like this is about necessarily whether I get a finished product or not. That's where it really differs, and I think there's a real value, you know, to oh, there's gray, all right. Maybe I better try the gray around the edges somewhere. Oh, what happened here? Anybody else like to paint with their fingers? It is a family workshop. I think maybe I'll put some gray in this blue. It's kind of a goldy gray, so I better not put it right over top of blue. But yeah, often, you know, when you just are painting with these really bright colors, it does tend to end up with a very psychedelic look, especially if I was to bring in some orange now, that like I love to do. Then it gets really psychedelic.
Hey, Francis.
Yes, John, welcome. Where are you?
I've been here all along.
Are you painting?
No, but I like doing finger painting with my students at school. They just absolutely have a blast doing it, and I have a blast watching them and doing it with them.
Yeah, I'll bet. Finger painting for sure.
Yeah, especially with tempera paints.
Yes. And what age of students are you teaching?
I specialize in grades 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, fun.
And
Yeah.
I do the painting in French, so that's a
Oh.
lot of fun too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really liking adding some gray to this. This is a first for me. I showed all the getting some purple. I'm mixing purple and a goldy yellow together for some gray.
Have you used felt pens?
Not, they're too, for me, I think the reason I don't use felt pens is because they're a little bit sharp. I don't know, I think maybe you have to have a lot of skill and not just, so what am I saying about myself? No
Yeah,
skill.
I've used felt pens for my last three pieces. One of which is up on the OAA website. So if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would, well, what I have here, I have those crayons and I have the, I have the, what do you call them, art bar pens. So, don't know if I can.
You have to be real careful with them because you can get real muddy with them.
Yes, so that's the danger, right? I usually get covered in paint when I paint. I admit it fully.
For those blue lines you did on your piece, what brush number did you use?
The blue lines up here, that's my art bar.
Lower left.
Down here?
Lower
Yeah, I
left of your
guess I
piece.
just used, it's just a little craft paper or paintbrush. It's something I probably found in my drawer. And I liked the, yeah, I'm not liking these lines down here too much. They're a little too.
Are those Winsor Newton or some of the one other company's paints?
Oh, good question. I've got all kinds of different paints. I've got the golden student grade. I really like them actually. You can get a nice big tub and you don't have to worry. I probably got that in a set with about 6, your primary, black and white. There's only 3 primaries, so.
Yeah, at least you can mix them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other colors. I've had them for ages. That's how much I paint, unfortunately.
They don't go bad either. They last a long time.
They last a long, long time.
Just have to add water like we do with the tempuras at school.
Yeah, yeah. So just rub things with your fingers if it's too much of a line. That's what I like to do. Yeah. So are you painting, John, right now? Are you painting along with us?
No, I'm just watching.
Just watching. Voyeurs. You're all voyeurs.
Yeah, we come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so more gray. Just trying things out, and I guess I'm kind of, oh, that's very green. So you see, it doesn't really matter what kind of brush I have, considering that I mushed them all together in the end. That's the danger of going over a color. And you end up with some hard lines that you don't like and some mushiness. So I'm gonna just take the art bar, kind of. Yeah, I think the important thing is just to relax, and this process isn't necessarily to perfect anything, but you never know, might turn out to be something you like. Yeah, no, and you asked a question about the brushes, and honestly, I just collect brushes, and that sounds, I know so many people, I think if you're working professionally, you're probably a lot more careful with your budget. That I have paints that I've had for years because I don't always paint.
Yeah,
But I like
that Spanish artist who did the cubic work, I forget his name. He always said, "I can't have enough brushes."
that Picasso you're talking about.
Yeah,
That
Picasso. Yeah,
Spanish artist.
yeah,
That's funny.
exactly.
That's yeah, I have this box of brushes, and sometimes I use a different one for every color, and then they get all mixed up into in the water, because I just dump them in the water, and then I use the green one for the red, and then I made a mess. But that's the beauty of acrylics.
Fun is you mix up the colors and you might get something different that you can use in your piece.
Yeah. And then probably I should use some of the crayon-y types with this thing, because it gives me some more texture or something. But it doesn't really matter. It's just doodling for fun. And I guess the question for me is that I asked at the very beginning is why are we painting? What are we doing it for, We humans.
We paint to express ourselves internally and put what's internally to external.
Right, and so then I guess the reason I'm interested in doing, this, well, I call it intuitive, because I mean, I'd like to sort of see some shapes and bring out some shapes here. So far tonight, that's not, when I started this afternoon, it's just not what was happening. Maybe you have to be a little more intentional with it. Like maybe you have to say I'm painting a joy core and it's going to be a sun and a flower kind of mixed together. But at any rate, tonight I just seems to be quite abstract what's going on. And that's okay, right? Because there's no right or wrong with this. So little technique for me. I mean, going all over the page. I don't start in one spot or.
I see a clown up there
Where?
on the left top corner. See his hair?
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be a clown with a red nose or something like that.
I was going to say a peony.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to go in with some more white. White is so inoffensive, especially when it's very transparent. I've still got a little bit of this brown on my brush. It's supposed to be gray. Yeah, is it a, I don't know, I'm not going to say it's a clown though. I can see that it could be a clown. Got kind of a bluey gray happening. Oh, I like it. Yeah, so often I see flowers or birds or something like that. Peony for sure. Do you remember, did anybody ever do it where you'd start with like a small shape and then you'd start outlining it and it would change shape as you kept outlining it? Do you do that with the kids, John? You ever done that?
Yeah, I did that back in last fall with a grade 2 class, and
Yeah.
it was amazing the final products that you saw.
Yeah, they just sort of, it just grows and the shape changes and it's really interesting.
Everybody had the first 3 or 4 centimeters in the middle were the same, but by the time they get out to the outside of the picture, it was all completely different.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
And they all use different colors. They didn't know one piece was the same.
That's so cool. My mom my mom was a teacher and she used to do beautiful art with her kids. She would control them. She would give them 3 colors max and stuff like that.
I've done pieces with the children where I'll start on the board, get them to copy the shape on the board, but their their piece that they copy from the board while I'm doing it is completely different.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what I'm doing with that red spot there. Well, why don't we see some of what other people are doing? I can't believe it's 8 o'clock already. Can we
So
see
what time are we going to?
8:30?
Okay.
Well, we can see them at the end. You guys are busy. We don't have time to stop, do we? No time to stop and show our work. Yeah, it's amazing how fast it goes. I kind of see a figure here. It's a nude. There's a bum here. See the bum? Kind of, maybe, sort of.
I was going to say something else.
Oh, maybe a boob. Yeah. Oh, well, I lost it already. There we go. Yeah, but I see the boob up here and the bum down here. I wish I had some round brushes on me. I probably do. Somewhere. Yes, one mustn't lack courage when it comes to this. I wonder how long that art bar takes to dry. Ah, it still moves. That art bar is amazing stuff. I'm not stuck with any of your lines. So Karen, I bet you'd like to do stuff like this. You like to fool around, right?
Yes. Yeah, same. Like it's pretty much all abstract, and I just start messing around. I don't really typically have a plan or a focus. I like I haven't tried what you're doing. I've never done the acrylic paint on like the wet watercolor paper. I haven't done that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to try that though. It's neat. I like the way the colors go together when you do that. It looks good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So yeah, it's been, I guess I always just figured you could use acrylics any old way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Francis, have you tried Yupo paper?
What kind of paper?
Yupo?
Yapo?
Yeah.
No, I never.
Yupo paper is used for alcohol ink.
Of what? Ink?
I tried it with acrylic once just to see what it would do.
Yeah,
acrylic. I tried acrylic on it. It was interesting.
it's meant for alcohol ink. It's a non-porous paper.
Oh, I've got a piece of plastic that I bought and never used.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be similar.
Yeah. So now maybe this is something up here. Anyway, I think the important thing is that every once in a while you do something that's really out of your wheelhouse, For me, probably painting that peony is going to be out of my wheelhouse. But I'm just wondering how many people we have here even. Ooh, quite a few. 9 people have showed up. Yeah, I think I would like to get together with you, John, and learn about some of the projects you do with kids. I wish I had gotten some of my mother's projects before it was too late. My sister did, I know. She teaches art. She's a potter. This is actually like, if you weren't here at the beginning, this whole method started out with sculpture. And I sometimes even like to make a clay lump and then hit it with a stick until it looks a little bit more like a rock. And then decide, what it might be and carve it. Sometimes you get really stupid things. Like I was going to show it to you, but I never did. I got like a frog and a bird, and they're all sort of intertwined. It looks like they're a family with like a bird, frog, and then there's a pearl, but maybe it's an egg. It's pretty stupid, but it sits in my bathroom. It seems appropriate.
One project we've done is we've taken toilet paper and paper towel tubes and joined them together in different ways and then painted them.
Oh yeah, I once made an alligator out of egg cartons.
Uh-huh.
You can picture it, right?
Yeah,
The
I
bumpy
can.
dog. Yeah.
But the way that the kids put them together at school is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Or another thing that you get is you'll get plasticine, and then they'll put it together in different ways and then paint it.
Yeah. Well, there's a need for art workshops for kids right now. Parents are stuck at home trying to figure out what to do with their kids. Sandy was supposed to come and bring her grandchildren. I like the way the white is showing up really bright. 8:12.
Your bottom left, top left, and top right look really spiffy.
Up here or here?
All three corners.
Oh, the corners with the red.
Bottom,
Yeah,
bottom.
no, the middle really hasn't got much going on. I better do something with that. And better find one of my paintbrushes. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice when you come out with a real painting afterwards. And, I'm going to say that this isn't a bad effort for the time being. Oh, I'm supposed to be going to the middle now. So let's do that. Got a really crisp line there, so something different, something a little bit different. I think it being almost 8:15, I think in like 5 minutes, we're going to look at what people have painted, so that we can see just what's going on here. So let's say we've got another few minutes to kind of see. I don't want to put any pressure on, really no pressure at all. No pressure at all.
You're having fun. That's what counts.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Because, our lives are stressful sometimes. As a business person, I'm telling you, my life is not always easy. And I have to say, I was so struggling this afternoon, and then I didn't really I don't think I really came up with anything particularly great, but all of a sudden, just this relaxation kicked in, as I was painting. And the other thing that I said to myself was, and who's here is a perfectionist? Say yes if you're kind of a perfectionist. No?
No,
Anybody?
I tend to be.
I don't like, I was brought up not to make mistakes, you know? And when I was, you know, after I kind of got into this painting, I said to myself, well, so what if you do a crummy job of the workshop, you know? Like, does it really matter, right? Like, is anybody really going to ride you for that?
Nope, nobody's going to ride you.
It's like, it's okay, right? It's just, it's all okay. And
One thing you learn as a teacher is that you can't be a perfectionist because you get a lot of failure and try agains with your students and even with yourself when you're doing stuff with your students.
well, I wish I'd had you as a teacher when I was a kid, I'll tell you. Maybe I wish I had you as a parent.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish the one parent I had on anybody.
Well, my parents were very creative, but they also, you know, at a certain point became a little more critical. Do you know what I mean? And that's I think where, you know, things went awry.
Yeah, you tend to get stifled with that kind of environment.
Yeah, you know,
I had
it's
one
all right
parent.
when you're naive, right?
Uh-huh.
But
One
then,
parent was somewhat stifling. The other parent was very creative, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, both my parents were creative, but in very different ways. My mother um, was a landscape artist, and she beautiful decorative paintings. But my father was more of an expressionist and an impressionist, and so I think everybody always thought he was like a you know, more of an artist. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and yet, you know, she made beautiful pictures. She made just beautiful pictures.
My mother used to be very artistic, and artistry runs in the family.
Mm.
Just about everybody on my mother's side of the family is artistic in one way or another. Several of my relatives are into painting and working with clothing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm really into these days is a real expansion of what it is to be creative. You know, like I say, I'm not as much of a fine artist as I always wanted to be, but I use a lot of creativity in my life. And I mean, to be a yoga therapist can be very creative, you know, especially, you know, you are always, well, you're creating different practices for people as a yoga therapist. So you have to decide, you know, what pose might suit them. Oh, look at that gold going in with the blues. That's nice. I wish I had started. Oh, see, and I got red on my paintbrush by mistake. Shoot.
You might
Shoot.
be able to use that.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to, because I don't have the patience at the moment. But okay, it is now 8:19. So I want to see what you guys are doing, and of course, open it up to any questions. Of course, I just want to keep painting at the same time. But because I suddenly love this gold moving into the blues. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I do really want to see what everybody else has done as well. So I'm going to unspotlight myself. Oh, yeah. She said, and I'm going to open it up to everybody else. So Marilyn, let's start with you because you are on my screen beside me.
Okay.
Marilyn, would you hold up your, speak and speak.
Okay, so I had a peony garden, but they are finished. So that's my attempt at some peonies there.
Okay.
We have about 4 pair of blue jays in the backyard, 4
Ah,
cardinals, orange Oreos, and so that's the little blobs.
nice.
But it's not really what you did.
Well, what you did is you did the technique, and I guess, did you decide to do peonies before you started, or did you see a garden once you made the blobs?
Once I put the red colored blob in there, then that started up the peonies. Then the birds kind of did their funny thing afterwards.
So that is exactly what this technique is. And I did a much more abstract piece, but what you got is a landscape. But yeah, it's beautiful and playful. And if you want, you can draw, like sketch in birds in more detail, or I like what you did though, just doing the detail with the peonies. I love it.
They hadn't dried enough to detail the birds at all, so. But it was fun. That was a lot of fun doing, just playing.
Good, good. Okay, who's next? Karen didn't do anything. Jane.
Oh, I did a wild kind of wilderness. I just dropped the colors in. Oh, is that too close?
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's beautiful. Very atmospheric.
Yes, I just put the colors in and see where they went. And so it's a
And
wild purple
sorry?
wilderness.
Do you normally draw landscapes?
No, not a whole lot. No, I do grasses and trees and stuff, but no, it's I certainly wouldn't do them all purple in that like this.
I think that's gorgeous. And did you find it relaxing? And
Oh, it was fun because I didn't know where it was going. There was no I should do this or should do that.
oh, love it. Love it. That I think is, a hangable piece. That's great.
Really?
Not that, oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Things sometimes do look better on the internet, so it's hard to say.
They do. I'll see what it looks like when it's dry tomorrow.
I think that's very atmospheric, and actually everybody's. I don't know about mine. Mine's definitely not finished. Estelle, let's see yours. Just say that was. Oh, I spotlighted you.
I didn't paint.
Oh, you didn't paint. Okay.
No, I got into too much mess last week.
Jane, we just saw you, didn't we,
You
Jane?
just saw mine, yeah.
Anybody else paint? That's it, just the 3 of us?
Oh, wow. I thought everybody was busy painting.
Well, John's watching. We know he and Karen were the voyeurs. It turns out that Estelle is also.
Yeah.
I got into a mess with the peonies, and I'm not really set up for painting in front of the computer.
Yes, yeah, I got in a mess. I got paint on my phone and paint on my peonies. Paint on the peonies, obviously.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I got paint on my computer. It's still there. I got paint on my phone. I think I scratched most of it off.
Well, I enjoyed it, Frances. It was just kind of a nice way to spend an hour or so.
It was, yeah, big fun.
Oh, I'm so glad. And that is exactly, I think, the intent. Oh, I don't think that was my intention. And when I kept saying, I was so freaked out. What was I going to do? you know, like, was I ever actually going to be able to create a work of art here? I think that is a flower in the corner. I have to spotlight it because I'm.
Yours is very bright and vibrant, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess but I think this is going to be a flower up here, right?
It's very active. It's lovely.
There's
Thank
not
you.
really too much more you have to do with this piece.
You like it?
Is it mostly watercolor or mostly
It's all
acrylic?
acrylics, except for
they're-
that I
they're
use
art-
these art bar
Are
pencils.
they acrylic?
They're art bars. I don't know what they're really made of, but they're kind of like a crayon, so I could make crayonish like marks with it, or you can wash it in a bit, and sort of makes, can you see that? It's sort of crayony.
And you put water with it and it spreads a bit?
And then you see how it's crayony right there? I'm trying to put it in the center, but it's hard to. There, see the crayony marks? And then if I
Yes.
take some water, I'll just be able to blend that right in. And they're gone.
So
So
they
I-
must be maybe acrylic?
Yeah, all I know, water-soluble wax bar. So they're wax.
Wax?
Yeah, like a crayon, but they're water-soluble. And they're a lot of fun. So you can get, I should have some fun with them is what I should do with this. And then, you know, I'll have a little bit of experience, you know, with the art bar.
I've never seen them before.
So I can make it even brighter. See how bright that came up there? Only I've got blue on my fingers, which is too bad. This is how messy I am. So I'm probably gonna just take a little bit of
Doesn't matter
water.
if you're enjoying yourself. That's the best part.
I'm enjoying myself too much, but that's okay.
That's what it's all about.
I think so, and you know, for me, this has been so relaxing, and yeah, I think I'm gonna go over this with these crayons and see what I come up with. It's very bright, like you say. I think it comes out a little brighter on the but yeah, I should probably fool around. See, it gets so much texture because it's the watercolor paper that's very textured. So I could really,
Is that 140 or 320 bond?
it's pretty heavy and it's wrinkled right up because I like to, this is from a pad of paper. So unfortunately, I have no idea. The little mark at the top is covered up. 594.
Yeah, your paper's 140.
Yeah, I think it's 140. There's only a couple of 80-pound ones in this set. So because you know,
Yeah, it's good you didn't use 320. Then it'd be really wrinkly.
right. Yeah. Okay, well, so we all had fun. And
I was going to show you what, with the pens that I was mentioning there.
who's
The birds-
speaking? Let me
It's
see.
Marilyn. It's Marilyn.
Okay, Marilyn, I'd like to see that. Just a second. I'm gonna spotlight you. Okay.
Okay, I took away what my birds wear, which I didn't like up there. So 5 stripes with the pen, and I made them into flowers.
That's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. I'm jealous.
Well, it just shows what the pen can do in a hurry.
Absolutely, you know, and I think that's one of the greatest purposes of playing like this is to simply give yourself permission to play, right? Just give
Sure.
yourself permission to have fun, to get some experiment with different techniques, with different tools, right? The paintbrush tools would be really fun to use. I used a bit of these watercolor pencils and that, and I got something kind of colorful and crazy. I would work on this some more, you know, like I would definitely work on it some more. So, well, thank you so much for coming. It was a real pleasure to do this, and I think we can look forward to having some more of these types of events in the fall. And I'm going to also arrange for them to be, is everybody here? No, John is not on Facebook, but we will definitely be posting these in the Facebook group and hopefully on the website too. I'm not going to promise that right away because we have some work to do to get our website being worked on. But the Facebook, me and Karen are working in Facebook, and we can definitely post that. And so, adieu until the next time.
Adios.
Thank you, Francis.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, Francis.
Thank
So
you.
nice
Bye.
to see you all.